Oh, I don't pay for suits. My suits are on the house, or the house burns down.
Welcome back to the Red Right Hand Podcast, the show that covers each and every episode of the BBC hit show The Peaky Blinders. I'm Josh.
I'm Curtis.
And this is the 6th and final episode in Season 1.
Thank God.
Yeah,
we finally made it. No, it's not like thank God in a bad way, but like, you know.
I talked about this before that, like, we're just ready, this is all the building blocks. We're ready for everything that's to come after this.
Right.
So, especially getting into Season 2, we're really going to start to pick up speed. But a lot of this stuff kind of starts with Episode 6 of this season. There's a lot of stuff that's been laid in place already, but a lot of stuff that just kind of comes to fruition, for better or for worse.
I think for me, it's just like a relief to like get to this point because it's very hard to watch one episode and then be like, well, I can't really move on because I don't want to get confused of different parts being in different episodes. You know what I'm saying? For like the podcast reasons, because I'm like, I just want to watch them. Like I could just like sit down and watch the whole season or the whole series, and just like not miss a beat or whatever. But like now doing this, like I gotta watch an episode and then stop and be like, well, I could rewatch it or I could just go do something else, or whatever. Because I really don't want to move on. Because again, I'm gonna get stuff confused. And they look like an idiot on the podcast, which I'm probably already doing, but
Well, that's what's hard is, especially when we started doing, like, the first episode, I had just watched through the entire first season again.
Right.
And so you're like, okay, well, now I've got the entire season in my brain, like where it starts, where it ends, kind of all the stuff that happens there, and okay, well, where's the cutoff?
Right.
What was episode 1? What was episode 2?
Well, then you almost kind of feel like you're kind of crawling like a snail's pace, just trying to get through. I mean, like you're saying, if you watch the whole season, so you know what happens, or whatever, you got all the information in your head. But like going back and doing the podcast is just like a slow moving thing. I mean, I just got to think about one episode now.
Yeah.
Instead of, well, here's what happened this whole season.
Yeah. Season recap.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. The first section we've got here is called Black Star Day. The episode starts out at the Taylors, where Campbell comes to awkwardly ask about some services.
What kind of services?
Well, we don't know yet. And I don't want to know. But they make it, they force you to watch it.
I'm glad that like they didn't take it any like further with his awkward conversations though, because it was just bad enough just seeing him be like, services.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, what kind of service? No, I don't need to know. Like you said, I don't need to know anymore, man.
Yeah.
No, you're good, man.
And we'll check back in with Campbell at the end of the episode. So then we go over to Tommy. He goes into the garrison and wakes up Arthur, who's asleep in the back room. He tells him today's the day. He goes to Charlie's and John's also. Wakes them each up, tells Charlie to get the wagons, tells John to get ready. He's telling everybody today's the day. Kind of out of context, you don't really know exactly what they're talking about. When you think about it, like that's why I named, the first section Black Star Days, because a couple episodes ago, he put a black star on the calendar and said that was the day that they were going to take down Billy Kimber.
Right, but I think at the end of the last episode, he had said, like, whatever, like the next day or 2 days or whatever, we're taking down Billy Kimber or something like that. He had made mention, I think, in the last episode that it's coming up pretty quick.
It was coming.
Or whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, me personally, I didn't have any confusion on, like, what was going down.
No, yeah.
Or whatever. But.
Yeah. He goes to Polly's house, kind of catches her in the middle of a prayer. She's praying for Arthur because of his violence, for John because all the kids depend on him, and for Tommy because even though he does bad things, he does them to help the family.
I think.
Yes, and she has to throw an I think on
She
it.
got to pause there before she does the Catholic cross. I think, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he does, right?
Yeah. I put a note there that Tommy says, he says to her basically that, like, this is the last time you're going to have to pray for us like this, you know?
Famous
like,
last words, man.
Yeah. And it's the first time that we hear Tommy say the line, this is the last time. It's going to be one of a million times that he says
Into
that.
a drinking game or something.
Yeah. So we go back to Campbell at the tailor. He's talking with a prostitute, and the only note I had about this scene was that I thought it was hilarious that she mentioned
Me too,
that
man.
they like wash your clothes. Like she took his
Right.
jacket and stuff, and she was
Clean
like,
and press,
"Yeah,
man.
we'll have it cleaned and pressed for you when we're done."
I had to laugh about it, but I was like, that's pretty good service.
I thought that was really efficient. Yeah,
I mean, look, people.
yeah, that's a heck
If
of
you're
an
going to open up
operation.
an operation like this, man, this is the way to do it.
That's
This is your building
the new
blocks
standard.
right here, man.
Yeah.
So,
So then we see Grace getting ready. She goes to the museum to meet Campbell. Moss shows up instead and gives her a note. Then he's got to let her know that he thinks she's a whore. Campbell's letter basically says that he knows about her and Tommy. It mentions treason and betrayal. And then we get kind of a back and forth here as Grace is like reading the letter, and it's in Campbell's voice. And it's kind of as he's roughing up this prostitute.
yeah.
I put Pross in my note. I think I'm going to start calling him Pross. Prosses.
Well, first glance, it looks like pros, so.
Yeah. And I basically,
What?
I put there that the takeaway was just kind of that Campbell is really angry over this situation.
Letting off some steam, maybe.
Yeah, I guess. So Tommy and the boys enter the tailor to pick up suits. It is Tommy, John, Arthur, Love Scud, and Curly. Yeah, Curly was with them. I thought that was weird. Curly
I didn't
doesn't normally
notice.
like
No, I didn't notice that.
run with the group, but Curly was there.
Become one of the big boys.
Yeah, he's picking up a new suit.
Yeah.
So they're there to pick up some suits. The owner tells Tommy that Campbell's in the back. I thought it was funny the way he told him that.
Well, I'm
too.
about to say, you missed the good part, though, of, like, him saying that. He's
Yeah.
like, you want to hear with something that's funny. And,
Yeah.
of course, he's just like, Tommy stops. He's like, I don't have time for this. You know, just kind of like that look on his face. And so then, yeah, he looks back at him. Of course, he's just, like, looking at the money like, you got to pay some more, man, to hear this joke.
Yeah.
So,
But he basically tells him that Campbell's in the back. So when Tommy goes in, he's got his gun drawn. Campbell tells him he's unarmed. They talk about the stolen guns a little bit. He says we're the same. Everybody hates and fears us. There's not a whole lot really in that scene, just a kind of little jabbing back and forth, and you know.
well, of course, he asked Tommy, he said, you still don't know how I found them.
Oh yeah,
You know, how I found the guns. Of course, he didn't really, well, no, he said, lucky guess.
Yeah, he said it was a
said
lucky
guess.
guess.
So, but yeah, you're right. There's not a whole lot to that scene. Except his clothes look pretty nice, though. Campbell's clothes did look
Oh, they're clean and
pretty
pressed.
clean and pressed.
They're
Oh,
clean
man.
and pressed.
Looks like they did a really good job with that. 5-star services. Gonna hit him up on Yelp.
Campbell tells Tommy that today his heart will be broken. Tommy says that Campbell forgets that he has his family. And I don't know, I liked the little mention there, that's kind of a part of his strength.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's a big part of Tommy's strength going forward.
right.
You know, and a lot of things kind of down the line for him probably wouldn't even be an option if it weren't for the family element. You know, they couldn't have even have come this far muscle-wise if they hadn't married into the Lees.
Right.
You know, so family is just going to be a huge part of the overall theme.
Well, for as much as like he goes around and makes his own plans, and it seems like he does his own thing. I mean, it always comes back to the family. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, he is very family oriented, I guess you could say. He's not family friendly, but you know that's a different subject. But yeah, he definitely holds them dear to his heart.
Yeah. Polly visits Ada, and we kind of get a story here of what happened to Polly's children. I don't know if up until this point, if she mentions them at all.
I think she had said something to Ada just like real quick when she was pregnant, like a couple episodes ago or something like that, before she had the baby. But I mean, this would be the point that she really brings it out.
But basically the story was that Polly had some sheets hung on a line that were from a hotel. They had been stolen from a hotel. And she said that her neighbor was jealous of it, like that they were nice, and so that she was jealous of it, so she called the police, like knowing that they were stolen. So when the police came to the house and searched the house, they found a gin still that she was making gin, which had to have been illegal.
Oh yeah, it would be like moonshining, basically.
Yeah.
You know?
So she says that's why her kids were taken away. They took her kids away that day.
Didn't even tell her where they went. Nothing, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, she had no clue.
She wants Ada to forgive Tommy. And basically she kind of puts forward that, you know, nothing like that would ever happen to you because Tommy would never let it happen.
Right, and that's the honest truth. I mean, you don't really think about that, but I mean, it is true. It's like Tommy would basically die for that baby, you know.
Yeah.
Before he gets taken away or whatever, you know.
Yeah. But I mean, Ada's always going to kind of be that way. She's always going to want to distance herself a little bit and not just have like her family name open a million doors for her, you know.
Right, yeah.
Especially going forward, you know, because Ada season 1 versus Ada season 2, and even Ada season 2 versus Ada season 5, you know, like they're all completely different versions of her. So,
oh, for sure, yeah.
But Polly says that Tommy would never let that happen. She says that Tommy's brought power to the family and won't let anybody push them around. But the kind of the whole point of the conversation there is she wants Ada to forgive Tommy. She says there's something about today that you need to know. And so just kind of more, you know, we don't know everything that's going to happen, but they're kind of alluding to today's a big day. Like there's going to be a lot of things happening.
Yeah.
And then kind of in response to Polly saying that, we get a scene of Freddie in his cell. A guard comes in, and Freddie says he has to get a message to Campbell that he can't be moved to Brixton Prison. He says they'll kill him there. And I didn't think about it the first time watching this scene, but when I watched it again, I was like, what message does he need to get to Campbell? Like, is he about to like is he at the end? Yeah, is he about to like break down? Or is he just trying to get a useless message to Campbell that I can't be moved to Brixton?
Not even that. I was gonna say like, who's gonna kill him at Brixton? The guards or
who knows?
Or the prisoners? Because it's like, what kind of prisoners are there?
Yeah.
And do they? I mean, are like they communist hating people or what?
I was gonna look at Brixton Prison, like if it was like a notorious.
That's what I was thinking.
I don't know where Brixton is.
Somewhere in England. Yeah.
But the
London.
guard basically tells him that he isn't going to make it that far anyway. That it doesn't matter that he's not going to make it that far. So it basically sounds like they're going to kill Freddy.
Right, yeah. I mean, at first glance, it's kind of... Yeah, you're dead, man. You're not going to make it.
Yeah.
You're not going to make it, man.
Did you find anything on Brixton?
Not a whole lot. It just seems to be... I mean, the first thing I see is... I mean, now it's operated by Her Majesty's Prison Service, which, I mean, it makes me think that it's probably, even like back then, was kind of like the main hub. Kind of like, you ever heard of Leavenworth? I don't even know if that's still going now, but like back in the day, like early 1900s, that was like the big, or even like, what's the one in California, like the Al Capone and all of them were at?
Alcatraz?
Alcatraz. I mean, something like that, you know, kind of like a main hub.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of what makes me think of.
Or you put like your worst of the worst there?
The worst, yeah.
Okay.
Because it was talking about like IRA, and so I would think, you know, IRA, communist, anything like that. Anything that's a threat to England, basically, probably.
Okay.
Is what
Maybe like political prisoners?
Maybe so, yeah.
Okay. So then we've got Campbell having a meeting with Churchill on a train, as they like to do. They basically just discuss Campbell's success finding the guns. And I put that Churchill's shoes are off, and he's just like got his feet up on the desk, like super informal.
Yeah, I was wondering if I couldn't really tell, and I didn't really want to go back and rewatch.
It was the first time that I noticed anything about him that, like, I don't know, where I first started to see him kind of go in the direction he's going to go next season.
Right.
You know?
I mean, it's his office. He can do what he wants.
Yeah.
If he wants to sit behind the desk and just wear a suit, no pants, that's
He can do it.
That's his thing, man.
It was just, like, really informal, and it just, like, I don't know, it seemed weird because he'd been really formal with Campbell up until that point.
Yeah.
So it was just, like, the first little taste, I guess, of kind of the informality we're going to get from him going forward.
Yep. I agree.
So Churchill mentions Grace. He says, he wrote to me of a female operative. You know, does she deserve some kind of recognition or mention, you know? And then Campbell says yes. He says that she does deserve to be mentioned, that she was instrumental in making this happen.
Right.
But it just kind of goes against the letter that he sent her, you know? Like, he basically painted it like, you're a traitor, and, like, not just, like, to me, like, you betrayed your country, I'm pretty sure, like he says in the letter.
Right.
And the mission, and, like, all this stuff. And then he turns around to Churchill and says that, yes, she...
I think he's still pretty torn, though.
Yeah, no, for sure.
You know, I mean, he still loves her, you know?
Yeah.
There's still a little glimpse of hope.
It's just, like, surprising in that moment when you heard him, like, say the opposite.
Right.
And then he says right there that, like,
yeah.
You know, she definitely...
This just came to my mind when, going backtracking to, when Campbell was at the laundry service. And at the very end, when, like, she gets up and she leaves, he's like, oh, no, you know, can't you just stay for a little bit? She just, like, runs away. In my mind, I could just picture him going, oh, God, I'm so lonely.
Yeah, that's... I feel like Campbell in so many scenes. He could just...
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
Grace walks away from him.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
He's like, no.
Churchill wants to know what they're going to do about the blinders, basically. Campbell says that if they make arrests, then it's going to end up in court. It's all going to be very open. He knows they're trying to keep it quiet, so He says that they're just not going to do anything about it for right now. He says that he has plans for them, but Churchill, he says, they're just going to get off. Are they not? Nothing going to happen to them. And he says not exactly, like something along those lines, like not exactly, like.
Well, here's the thing I don't understand. I mean, and we talked about in the last episode, when they found the guns, it's like he was so happy that he went straight into the proposal. And then here, Churchill's congratulating him on job well done. Well, hell, there's still one gun missing, people. So why are we acting like everything's good and dandy when there's still one Lewis machine gun that can murder a lot of people in a few seconds just out there on the streets,
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, what's there? I mean, especially in this scene, because Churchill's acting like he didn't even know about it. You'd almost think that Campbell may have just told him, oh, we found all of them. They're all there. But then at the same time, I would think Churchill would know that,
He would know the count.
Exactly, the count and everything. That information would have gotten back to him and go, well, we still didn't, no, we don't have all of them, or whatever. So it's weird to me that he didn't mention anything in this scene about, well, what about the other gun? What are you going to do about that?
Well, and yeah, because I thought about it too. I think it's either in the first or second episode. He says that Churchill says he wants everything accounted for, every gun, and he says down to the last bullet.
Right.
So, I don't know if at this point them just, maybe they're a lot more overconfident in the beginning that they would find them quickly, and now they've kind of been at the point where
we just got to get out.
They got lucky, to get them. I think they're just we're missing one. Okay, well, I'm not worried about it, But it was also missing a lot of ammo, too, because, they took a bunch for the Lewis.
Oh, for sure, man.
So.
Yeah, for sure.
If not for their pistols and stuff like that, too. Yeah. So, who knows what was actually there.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, I just thought it was kind of weird that really hasn't been mentioned a whole lot. I mean, everybody's just kind of carrying on their way. But.
Yeah. So after that, everybody gathers at the book for a family meeting. Tommy basically lays out for him that at the Worcester races, they're going to make their move and take down Billy Kimber. This is going to be kind of their first big push to become legitimate. I mean, this is their push to become legitimate. Kind of make their main operations legal,
right?
And then the smaller things that they do are the illegal things,
right?
Right now it's the opposite, so they're kind of trying to
flip.
They're trying to flip it. So Polly brings Ada and Carl into the meeting. This is kind of the first. I mean, I don't think Ada's seen anybody except for Polly since she had the baby. I mean,
none of the baby. No.
Yeah, none of them.
No.
So, this is kind of like that family introduction,
I thought it was funny too when Arthur takes the baby. He's like, "Hey, it looks just like me." It's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What the hell does that mean?
It looks like me.
The hell is that supposed to mean, dude? You're not the father.
No, but he's her brother.
Still though, man, it's just I don't know. It's kind of weird.
It's just the genes.
I guess it's one ugly baby then,
man. And Ada says that this is the first time we get the baby's name too.
Oh yeah.
And
Carl.
They've named him Carl with a K after Karl Marx. So.
Carl Shelby. Or Carl. What was his name? Thorne. Carl Thorne.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Carl Thorne.
Either one of those really don't really sound too great, but whatever.
Then we've got Freddy in a police van being transported. The guard in the back says that the blinders told him to volunteer for the job. Freddy asks him who he is, and he says somebody who wants to keep his eyes.
Yeah.
So, and that's, we'll talk about it more later, but that's just the ultimatum that everybody gets. Yeah. So Freddy kind of smiles and laughs. You can tell something's going on. Like
He knows what's up.
Yeah, there's a plan to bust him out. We get this really good shot of the first time I thought it was a cool shot, and then the second time I watched it, I was like, man, that was even cooler than I thought it was.
Better.
Because, yeah. So the shot is of like the group. It's of the group's reflection in a puddle. It's all the usuals. It's Tommy, Arthur, John, Finn, Love, Scud,
Curly,
Charlie,
yeah.
and then there's like 3 or 4 other guys too. 2 of them are younger. They look like they might be like maybe like Scud's son, like some people like that, you know. Some of those older guys, kids. And then there's that one older guy that I never know who he is. He always wears like the bowler hat and he has a couple earrings.
Well, Jeremiah's in there.
Yeah, Jeremiah's with
Is that the one you're talking about? Oh, no. You're talking about the dude that's the bookie, like one of the main bookies at the...
Yeah,
he takes all the bets.
Yeah, but it's not...
Not him?
It's not Scudboat or
is that
Lovelock.
Scudboat?
It's the one that wears like the bowler hat and he has like 2 big gold earrings.
Does he have a mustache?
No.
I don't know then.
He's just like with them a lot, like from the beginning.
Unknown man.
Yeah. I'm sure he has a name, but I don't know it.
Yeah,
he never has any
unknown
lines
man.
or anything. But it's a cool shot of like their reflection as they're walking up, and it only starts to pan up as the reflection is like destroyed basically by their steps in the water.
Right.
So I don't know, just kind of a cool like transition shot there. Like I don't know, it's not even like, oh man, that's such a badass shot. It's just like, I don't know, just really good camera work and like just a really good shot.
Yeah.
So after that we see a lot of just bouncing back and forth, like in this.
There's a lot to take in the last season to try to, a lot of loose ends.
Yeah.
To tie.
Freddy's transport van pulls up to a car blocking the road, and Danny Whizbang starts shooting the Lewis machine gun out the back. Tells the driver to get down on the ground in the field. The guy who was in the back, who's basically the accomplice, the guard in the back, tells Freddy to hit him, so it looks like there was a struggle.
Right.
So Danny and Freddy get out of there. Kind of a little reunion though, because Freddy thinks that Danny is dead, like from when Tommy
shot him.
Yeah, quote unquote shot him. And so kind of a surprise for him there, but he says, "I thought you were dead." And he's like, "No, I was just living in London," but it's the same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
So the next section is called The Traitor. Tommy and Grace pour beers for the boys of the garrison. Everybody's getting ready basically to go to the Worcester races. And Grace kind of feels bad that she betrayed Tommy. So she's pretty distant. Like you can just tell that she's off.
He's kind of high in the moment though.
Yeah, no, Tommy's...
He's like, every life is great, man.
Yeah, Tommy's on top of the world.
Which is funny, because now you think of it, think about, like, when Campbell, he was on top of the world when they found those guns, and then he went in for the kill, man. He went with the proposal. And, here, Tommy's, it's Black Star Day, man. He's getting all hyped. He's on a high, man. And then he starts kind of, hinting at some stuff with Grace, about future and everything.
Yeah.
So they are the same.
She basically tells Tommy that she's not going to be here when he gets back. And I think it's just... I don't know. I mean, I think she knows the danger with Campbell. She knows kind of the danger with Tommy's business.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things just kind of coming together there. he tells her that they're moving towards legitimate business, and I don't even know if that really would have been something that would have stood between them, especially at that time.
What, legitimate business? No. Wait, like, given, like, if she wasn't who she was?
No, if he just continued to do things the way they were doing them.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. I don't know if it
No,
would have
because
even made any difference to her.
Yeah, I think, like, you're saying she's worried about... She's kind of stuck in the middle, worried about Campbell on one side, and then worried about Tommy on the other. I mean, I think at the same time she's kind of worried that if he found out, he might kill her.
Yeah.
He saw, he's seen him do stuff, to people, so he knows he's a violent man.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hell, he basically prostituted her out, to Kimber.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's willing to do whatever.
Yeah. I mean, he did it. He stopped it, but...
He stopped it, that's true.
But he did it.
But
yeah.
he did it. He still had the thought.
Yeah. Kind of as she's about to confess to him and kind of tell him everything that's going on, kind of how she's betrayed him. Arthur and Jeremiah come in, and they say that 2 vans full of Kimber's men are headed through town towards them. Tommy goes back to the book. He tells Polly that they've been betrayed, and she immediately kind of goes to Grace. I mean, I think she's not like, oh, it was Grace, but...
No, but she kind of leads him.
She figures it out quickly.
Right. But she kind of goes on later on when she's talking to Grace, basically saying, that she's always weary of people, Everybody else, they're just kind of like whatever, but she knew from the start that, Grace was not who she says she is, Maybe not saying that she's a cop or whatever, but she never really trusted her.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it's like you said, she didn't just come out and say, oh, it was Grace. She kind of hinted at some stuff of, well, then, who's always around for this, or who are you telling this to, or whatever, who are you confiding in,
Yeah.
And Polly always knows.
Yeah.
Well, she said that one time. Go ahead and speak. Aunt Polly and God are listening.
Yeah. Aunt Polly and God are listening. Polly convinces him to let her go talk to Grace at the garrison. Said if you see her again, you might kill her.
Yeah.
And then I put down the gun versus the old hat pin battle.
Do you bring a hat pin to a gunfight?
Well, that's the thing about a hat pin is if you're a lady at this time, you always have one. So you always have a weapon. Man. I mean, Polly carries like a switchblade anyway, but the hat pin, dude, the hat pin is so brutal. And there was like a problem with it for a while. So like when we use hat pins, to keep their hats on their heads, like you put it through the hat and through like your bun, and it keeps it from like blowing off your head.
Right.
Genius.
Oh yeah, I mean it's
but
sure. Should bring that back, man.
Yeah. So if fitted hats weren't a thing, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true. But it's still pretty windy today, so.
So women always had one of these. There was like a point in time where it like got to be a problem that women were. I almost feel bad like saying it's a problem because like it's a.
They were using it on robbers. I mean, like, what's a robber supposed to do, man?
Well, they're using hat pins on like people who would like attack them or like try to assault them, or they'd use these hat pins. But like it started happening like so often, and I guess that probably just speaks more to like how often like the acts were being committed. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I guess that's probably just what that means. But so people were just like using those hat pins like as shanks basically, and using it as a weapon. So I always thought that was interesting that like Polly uses the hat pin. I mean, kind of to the like, I don't know, just somebody on the outside like looking at that, like, oh, she's got a little like needle back there, you know. But most of the time, like hat pins are really thick.
I know,
and, like,
you don't want to get stabbed by that. Not saying that I've been stabbed by one, but like every time I see something like
like
that,
a
I'm
giant
that
nail.
thing look like it would like hurt so bad.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's like they're not thin, man. Like a sewing needle. I mean, they're thick, like a freaking ice pick.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh
Man, that's brutal.
So they kind of square off. Grace pulls out her gun. She's just kind of worried about probably making a move on her. Probably kind of intimidates her a little bit. Talks about intuition. Kind of talks to her about whether or not she actually fell in love with Tommy.
If they're getting to be best friends or something.
Yeah.
Then she like turns it right back on and like, get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was kind of a weird line. I couldn't really sort out exactly like what she's trying to say. Like I get the gist of what she's trying to say, but I took down the actual quote. And Polly says to Grace, she says, Tommy might forgive you, but I won't. And it's me that runs the business of the heart in this family. And so, you know, they say things kind of weird sometimes, but
well,
it's...
And I think, too, sometimes that goes back to, like, their, not accent, but, like, just the way, like, certain people talk, like, back then, plus European, you know, England, different stuff like that. People have different ways of saying different things, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe if that had something to do with it, too, maybe, but... Yeah, it's kind of a weird line.
I mean, like, I get what she's saying.
Right, and it's same here,
know?
but it's just the delivery of it. It's kind of little words look like they're jumbled.
It's like there's a few too many words in there. Yeah. And she basically just tells Grace to leave town tomorrow, or she's going to kill her. I've got John and Tommy walking through the street. John's got a big old duffel bag full of guns. He's got a bunch of rifles. They look like, I don't know, maybe like M1s or something. Like they look like they're single shot rifles. Thinking like the time frame, like
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But John's got a bunch of rifles in a bag. They're just kind of getting ready for Kimber and his men to show up. They talk about the cops all having left the area, basically. All the cops are just letting Kimber's men move through town. Tommy gives the boys a speech. Tommy gives the boys a speech.
What'd you say?
Gives the Spoys a beach, I think.
Spoys a beach?
Spoys a beach.
Beach Boys?
Tommy gives the boys a speech about defending the garrison. They kind of figure their odds are 3-1. It's I think the first and only time we hear him call them the Small Heath Rifles.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Well, that's pretty cool, though, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool.
Yeah.
I just don't know what that is. Or, like, why I don't know if he's just, like, kind of dubbing us that in the moment.
Right. I think that's what I was trying to think of was, like, almost like a troop name.
Yeah.
Or not, sounds like a circus, but not a circus, but like a company name. Yeah. You know, like
now, a lot of these people were in different places in the war, so it definitely wasn't anything from just when they were in the war together.
No, I'm not saying like that. I'm just saying like he's
like,
dubbing them because they're all from Small Heath. This is my company.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. But yeah. Of course, you know, he's saying 3-1 odds, or well, not 3-1 odds, but like 3-1. But him saying that, you know, he's like, you know, you all have been, you know, everybody's been in the war, so you know what we're up against. I mean, we're outnumbered, you know, so this may be it.
He says, but it's us. It's us, boys.
It's us, boys.
So
make your peace with whoever.
Yeah. Then he gets that dirty look from Jeremiah.
Yeah. Well, he asked Jeremiah, too. He's like, he singled eyes us about. I want you to ask God for permission to help us, from me, to fight for us today or whatever, you know?
Yeah, because he had sworn a vow to like never pick up a rifle again or something like that. So Moss tries to alert Campbell about what's about to happen, and Campbell doesn't care.
Let dog eat dog.
Yeah, he just kind of hopes that the blinders get taken out in the middle of this. He's hoping that being caught off guard and their plans kind of being thrown to the side, that
Right.
they'll get taken out here.
Yeah.
The last section is called 1 Minute.
I really like the scene.
Yeah, it's a really good one. I noticed that there's like so many quotes that people pull from the show that all happen in this like 5 minutes in the bar.
Right. I mean, it's a good little speech, you know, good
Yeah.
dialogue.
Tommy and Harry talk in the bar. Harry's the bartender that they bought the pub from.
They forced
Um,
to sell.
and they talk about the ultimatum. He kind of brings it up by mentioning Grace. You know, he says, "You're not used to not getting what you want, are you, Tommy? You guys wanted my pub, and you came in here and took it." And he says that they didn't offer him a deal. They offered him an ultimatum, like, do it or else.
Right.
And that's
Kinda
kind
like
of...
the copper.
Yeah,
You know, they forced me to volunteer, you know.
yeah. So do it or else is definitely the...
Shelby motto.
Yeah, especially in the first season.
Yeah.
When they're kind of trying to build that reputation and that empire. Harry says the line, "You're bad men, but you are bad men." He says people out there are talking, you know, like they want you guys to win, that even though you're bad men, you are bad men, you know. You just kind of think of it as your team, you
That's
know.
what I was thinking, yeah.
Harry wants to know if he's going to go after Grace, and Tommy says that she's in the past, and the past is not my concern. And then he goes on to say that the future is not my concern either. That right now,
In
like
this moment.
yeah, this minute, like this is my concern. And then he kind of he talks about what he calls the soldier's minute. You know, just everything on the battlefield all at once, and how nothing before that, and nothing after that matters.
It's like everything just going so quick. Yeah, you don't have time to think about anything else but that one moment of survival.
Kind of while they're talking about this, and Tommy's getting more and more in his head. Oh, I did like too that Harry asked him, like, didn't you get enough minutes over there?
Yeah.
Like, didn't you get enough of that?
It was probably like one of the first times too that we see like Tommy is nervous, and
Yeah.
almost like make you think of, okay, this is what he was like in the war too, just like shaking but not shaking, you know.
Yeah.
It's like inside he's shaking and scared,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't really see it on the outside.
Yeah, he's just not like confident like he normally is.
Right, exactly. He's breathing heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Finn bursts in saying that Kimber and his men are here. They go out into the street. The two sides square up. Moss again tries to get Campbell involved. He accuses Campbell of looking the other way, but Campbell says that he sees what's happening and he likes it.
Yeah, I love that line.
Yeah.
Man. I'm looking straight at the events of the day, and I like it.
Yeah. I like what I see.
Probably the only line that I like from Campbell.
Yeah, he's just got some, like, I don't know, he's got some lines that are made really good by his facial expressions and stuff,
Yeah.
and that's one of them.
Yeah.
Like, he just smiles so big when he says that, and, like, his eyes are so big.
Right.
Like, he's just, I don't know, he's a crazy guy, and you just don't get to see that side of him
He's a
very
wild,
much.
crazy dude,
Yeah.
man.
Tommy and Kimber exchange some words. Basically just some
Banter.
just some banter back and forth. Tommy says they're going to fight with guns, then they need to fight with proper guns. So Danny and Freddie come out of one of the factory shops on the side, and Freddie's carrying the Lewis gun. everybody gets locked and loaded there, and just before the shooting starts, Ada walks through Billy Kimber's men and stands in the middle of both groups. And this is probably going to come as no surprise to you. I have always hated this scene.
Yeah, it's just weird.
It is the worst.
Yeah. You get all hyped up for, like, blood in a battle, and then all of a sudden, move out of the way.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, what the, no.
And it's just, I don't know, it's just not super realistic. It's like hard to imagine that at that time period, in the middle of what's about to be a gang fight, that a woman and her child won't just be gunned down in the middle of it.
Well, and not even that, but like, I think I'm skipping a little bit ahead too, but I mean, Kimber's men, just the way they act about it, I mean, I would think that, I don't know, they just acted wrong. Like, I didn't think it would be, and it really was kind of cheesy, but we'll get to that. Just go on.
Ava says that she's wearing black in preparation. Just kind of, she's basically trying to talk both sides down. Like, she's just saying, you know, think about the people who are gonna be at your funeral and blah blah. It's
make peace, man.
It's just really, it just doesn't fit.
No, it doesn't, man.
Like, it just doesn't go well in this spot. Like, Ada coming out trying to give this speech. It's like my one beef really with this episode, I feel like, is I don't care for this scene.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
But she tries to talk both sides down. Kimber kind of gives you a little fake out there. And,
psych!
Yeah, he's like, oh, yeah, why should you guys all die? Like, they just need to die.
Yeah.
And then pops off a shot real quick. He catches Tommy in the shoulder, and then kind of in, I don't know, it kind of reminded me of, like, the tunnel scene. Like, when Danny's, like, you know, kind of crazily going through the tunnel, like, trying to get that guy. Danny rushes forward and gets shot. I didn't see where Danny got shot.
Got shot in the chest, I think, a couple of times.
And Danny goes down, and kind of everything's gone kind of slow motion for Tommy there. Everything's slowed down.
Yeah.
But before anything else can happen, Tommy pulls out his pistol and shoots Kimber in the head. Kimber goes down, and Tommy convinces Kimber's men to leave now that he's dead. He says, we fought this fight one-on-one. You know, this is the end of it.
Which I get that. This is the part that I'm talking about. I get that, but you would think
let's
a bunch of guys who were so loyal to this one dude, all of a sudden just like, you know what? This guy's right.
But why are they
Come on, boys, let's all go home.
Why are they so loyal to Billy Kimber? They're not family. They're just paid.
No, but, like, still, though, I mean...
money's dried up now.
Yeah, I guess. What are they supposed to do, though? I mean, because you're just gonna go home? I'm surprised,
they'll find work somewhere else.
Right, but I'm surprised, there wasn't another guy, or, oh, we'll go work for the accountant now, or whatever. I mean, there's got to be a second guy, you know?
I don't know. Maybe Kimber was just the kind of guy to not have he didn't have any kids.
I don't know. To me, it just seemed kind of weird.
Yeah.
They were just like, oh, you know, okay, we'll put our guns down. I mean, again, I get his message of, look, we fought this thing one-on-one. There doesn't have to be any more blood. Everybody just go their separate ways, you know?
Yeah.
We did our thing. I won, whatever. And I get that, but I don't know, just the way they kind of acted was just kind of weird to me.
The part that made it, what made it believable to me was just, like, that whole thing was that it didn't seem like Billy Kimber cared about anybody around him. It didn't seem like any of those guys really cared about him. If they were loyal to him, they probably wouldn't have been skimming money the whole time like Tommy figured out that they were doing.
Well, and I guess that's like the difference between Billy Kimber and Tommy is Tommy's got family.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean that's his
personal.
gang.
That's the difference. Like, it's personal with them and it's business with
for Kimber.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's where things kind of change, because Kimber is he's a standalone there, you know? It's not like all these guys are like that. A lot of these other guys that Tommy goes and winds up dealing with later, they're family men.
Yeah,
you know?
That's true, man.
They're all based around family. And so that's, I don't know, like that shit. Kimber was just, a standalone guy.
He's
He didn't
just a
have any
pawn in the
kids.
game,
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's just paying for all that help. And when those guys aren't needed anymore, I'm sure they just go to the next guy.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, they're just muscle men.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
So, but that was the only thing that kind of sold it for me. If you look at, I mean, if you try to look at him like you would, somebody else down the line, like that's.
Well, yeah, and I didn't think about it like that.
It would feel a
yeah.
lot more cheesy.
Right.
So Grace goes to Campbell, and it's literally like just to see what he told Tommy, like how much he told Tommy about her betrayal, and he didn't even really.
And that's why I was kind of worried, because like there's a lot of like stuff that's kind of clouded. Like, okay, did Campbell tip off Billy Kimber?
Yes.
Okay. So that's what I was wondering. It's like, because they never really.
They don't say that. Yeah.
But I got it. I kind of got it.
But
from
you gotta figure,
scenes of Moss and Campbell talking about the two groups meeting up and having all the cops stand down everywhere. I get that, and that's kind of where I was like, okay, I think that is, but I don't know. They just never really made it seem any more like it was. I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I gathered, because Grace was the only one who knew about Black Star Day, like what that meant.
Right.
And then she would have told that to him early on,
Well, that's what I was thinking too. Yeah, she probably told that earlier on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess maybe regretted it after it was going down, maybe.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, when it went down, now she's didn't live.
Yeah. And I was thinking about this too, like when, Grace is trying to see how much Campbell told Tommy, it's really just how much he told him in the conversation at the Taylor.
Yeah.
Like that's the only conversation that they had. So, and that's why Campbell says that I told him that by the end of the day his heart would be broken.
He's a smart boy. He can figure that out, right? He can break that riddle.
Yeah. And then Grace just mentions that she's broken 3 hearts then because she broke her own also.
Right.
At the garrison, Jeremiah digs the bullet out of Tommy's shoulder. They say their goodbyes and toast to Danny Owens. And Tommy gives a toast, "May we all die twice." Cause
which is crazy, because I've alluded to this a couple episodes ago, maybe, where there's an episode, I think in season 3, it's either 3 or 4, where he's talking to Arthur about, remember when we were all surrounded and left to die, basically, in the war. I can't remember which battle it was, maybe the Somme or something like that. And he was talking about, somehow, some way, we made it out with only like a few bullets. And he tells him, we basically died there. And everything else that we got going on now is just like extra. We're already dead, man. So the whole thing of like, may we all die twice, kind of rings true for John, Arthur, and Tommy, and then anybody else that was in that group. But
yeah. Moss comes in to tell Campbell kind of everything that's transpired while they've been looking the other way. I like this scene because Campbell's very pleased with himself. He's about to pour himself like a celebratory drink.
Right.
And then Campbell comes in and starts laying all this out for him. He says that Kimber's dead, the Blinders won, and that...
Make matters worse.
Yeah. And that Freddy's also escaped because they didn't investigate the gunshots.
There's a cherry on top, man.
Yeah. They can't make any arrests on anything because nobody saw anything. There were no police in the area.
It was almost like perfect, man.
Yeah.
The stars aligned. Everything was like great, man.
Yeah. That was something earlier. There was they just really quickly mentioned that there was reports of shots fired, and that was like right after they'd gotten Freddy out. And so if they would have investigated that, they probably would have found the Lewis gun and found Freddy, but didn't check on any of that. Campbell's visibly distraught. He
He
doesn't
can't find the words.
doesn't pour the drink, puts it away. At the garrison, the blinders celebrate their victory. Danny's taken away by Love and Scud to be buried. Tommy tells them to let his sons find normal work like Danny wanted. Scud basically see, should we get his kids some jobs? But before, when Danny thought he was dying, he told Tommy that he didn't want his sons to do that. He just wanted them to be normal guys and have normal work.
Right.
And it made me wonder a little bit about Tommy, too. I think by the time that Tommy's son is kind of starting to grow up, I think they'll be probably out of that. Like, they'll be moved pretty much away from all of that stuff. It'll just be, like, generational wealth at that point.
Right.
But it made me kind of wonder, like, will Tommy feel that way about his son? And I think that's the kind of, like, maybe difference in character, is, like, between, guy A and guy B, who both walk that road, who both do the things that, like, Tommy did. But guy A is a good person and does that out of necessity and doesn't want that life for his family. Guy B is just, like, sadistic and does want that for his kid, just wants to, like, continue that, so I don't know, it's just like a separation. Like, I feel like Tommy and Danny are on the other side of that, where they're guys who are just doing that for their family and they don't want that to be something that their kids are subjected to.
Right.
Yep. So Tommy honors that. Campbell calls Churchill and very ominously tells him that he's made a decision about his future. We don't hear any more about that.
What that means.
Yeah. Tommy goes up to Grace's apartment. They have a little talk, just kind of a back and forth. I don't know. I mean, he's not really trying to get her to stay. She's not really trying to get him to go. They're just, like, having this little banter.
Yeah.
And she says, like you said earlier, they're the same, but she says it's a situation of circumstance. They're just wearing different uniforms, So things just didn't really line up. She tells him she loves him, doesn't say it back.
Oh.
Boom. He says something like, and there it goes. Like something like that,
Well, she says something about here it comes.
Yeah.
And then she says it and he's like, and there it goes.
She says she's going to be in London for a few days. She wants Tommy to come up and meet him, like, once, everything's sorted out.
Yeah.
She says she has a plan, but that's all she says. She doesn't.
No, I need to know now, man.
She says she's got a plan.
It's not fair that Tommy gets to hear these plans and we don't, man.
Tommy meets Polly at the garrison, and they open the champagne. I think it's the champagne that Grace brought in there.
Bought, yeah.
He says that the Lees were able to handle their business at the track with what was left of Kimber's men. It worked out really easily for them. Tommy says, like you said, that it couldn't have worked out better if they'd planned it.
Yeah, I was supposed to say, stars line again, man. So.
And even though they lost Danny, like, that's one man, and they could have lost a lot more.
For sure, yeah.
So
the way they're outnumbered and everything, yeah.
Yeah. The Shelbys now have the third largest legal race operation, and he mentions that that's third behind the Sabinis and the Solomons. So that's kind of our first mention of those two other families.
A lot better than stupid Billy Kimber with his accent.
Every villain, like, after this just gets so much better.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Polly tells Tommy that there'll be others, and she's just kind of in reference to Grace, But also, I liked how that line was delivered kind of at that point when, like, right after they mentioned the Sabinis and the Solomons, and they've talked about dealing with Billy Kimber, says there'll be others, you know? And I like how, like, even if it wasn't meant to be
towards Grace. And
well,
love or
I feel like it was meant to be towards Grace.
Right.
I feel like even if it wasn't meant to be towards anything else,
Yeah, okay.
I feel like it definitely, like, it's just good context. Like,
Right,
it's just in
There's
a good
double
spot
meaning,
to,
man,
for sure, to make you think about some of these other problems that they're going to have to deal with. There's going to be others. Tommy writes Grace a letter, types it up on the old typewriter. It's the first of many.
One finger punch at a time, by the way.
Yep. And he tells her that he can't go to America with her, and that's where we kind of get, you know, an idea of what her plan was. He says that he's got things going here. He's got people who depend on him, and he's building something. He says that when he used to have to make a hard decision, he would flip a coin. He says, maybe that's what I'll do now, you know, to try to figure this out. So he pulls a coin out and flips it. And kind of as he's deciding what he's going to do, we see Grace about to board a train. Campbell walks up and draws a gun on her. And as the coin flips and is caught, shots fired on a black screen. And Jack White's Love is Blind list plays.
Pays?
And it
How
pays,
much?
baby. And that's the end there. We leave it at the end of the season not really knowing what happens to Grace. And that's kind of what it leaves you with. It basically leaves you thinking that Campbell shot Grace.
Right. Well, let me just say this, and I think you'll like this. The coin has a say, man.
The coin has a say?
The coin has a say.
Okay.
All right.
Good to know.
Was it a penny? Was it a dime? What was it, man?
I don't remember what the coin was.
A pound? I don't know. These are questions I ask myself while I watch these shows. I'm like, well, what is that? I mean, is it a nickel? Quarter? Half a dollar?
Well, that is going to wrap up Season 1, Episode 6. We'll see you guys back for Season 2.